Good evening.
How are you?
Good evening.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good evening.
I'm glad that you're here. Join us for this meeting. I'm just going to share my screen. Right. All right. So, good evening, all, and welcome to the Woodlawn Working Group meeting. My name is Ugo Ukasanya, and I'll be guiding this meeting. I'm the Equity Officer with the Department of Housing Bureau of Community Engagement, Racial Equity, and Strategic Initiatives. And it's a pleasure to be in community with you all. I want to recognize my colleagues from the Department of Housing on this call. If you could take a moment to unmute yourself and introduce yourselves.
Hi, you all know me. I'm Aaron Johnson, he and his, project manager for community engagement and racial equity with the Department of Housing. And Ugo is going to be stepping in and supporting this work as I transition to other projects. But thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Tara Madison, Woodlawn resident. Good to see everybody.
Good evening, Tara. Good evening, Aaron. I see you, Whitney, on the call. You don't mind to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Whitney Houston, and I serve as a project coordinator for the Department of Housing, overseeing the Housing Counseling Centers program and the Small Accessible Repairs program for seniors.
Thank you. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Please add your name and your connection to the Woodlawn community in the chat. We would like to keep a record of those that are in attendance. Thank you. So our agenda for today is we're going to review the programs in the ordinance, as well as we're going to hear from presentations from the Cook County Land Bank Authority, a presentation from Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protections, as well as, excuse me, the YWCA Metropolitan Chicago. We'll have open discussion, and then we'll look to close no later than 7 p.m. An objective is to level set community members to the City of Chicago's commitment to affordable housing. So the core mission of the Department of Housing is to expand access and choice for residents and protect the right to quality homes that are affordable, safe, and healthy. Our vision is to equitably distribute resources across all 77 communities so that every Chicagoan can choose a remaining quality housing that is affordable, safe, healthy, and near resources needed to thrive at every age. Now, we know that this work is hard. It can be radical and demands that we challenge systems. It requires our action and collaboration. It means fighting historically racist, blended investment policies, local resistance to progress, and deeply rooted patterns of segregation in our city. It creates public stewards committed to building community wealth and housing as a human right. So, you guys have been doing really great work as the working group. We are in the program implementation stage, and it has been ongoing with great strides thanks to you all and the diligence of the Woodlawn community. Now, we know much more work is needed to be done. So to programs, from our last meeting in December, that there's been a lot has been done in moving programs forward, as well as room to for review to improve on some. So currently, the Chicago Housing Trust opt-in is scheduled to launch in the summer of 2023. Now, no income requirements for homeowners. Owners can qualify for up to $30,000 of home improvement grants and property tax reductions. Our long-term homeowner improvement grant, the application process period closed in February, and applications are currently being processed. The tenant right of first refusal. Unfortunately, we haven't received any inquiries yet. For those that do not know, that's for tenants in buildings with 10+ units that rents are set at 60% AMI for 30 years. Renew Woodlawn, the same. Acquisition opportunities actually don't currently exist in the current market, but activity expected in the foreclose cliff coming in Q2 and Q3 due to the growing cost burden all over, pretty much all over the world. Building neighborhoods and affordable homes. This will be available upon completion of the city lots for working families. A home built in targeted neighborhood areas, and RFA was launched in fall of 22. The Chicago Housing Trust Woodlawn 2-flat program. Now we have affordable brick 2-flat located at 6633 South St. Lawrence for sale right now. And you can find more info at chicagohousingtrust.org. Neighborhood hiring plan and local developer. Now, Department of Housing, we received our first plan for the Park Station lofts on 63rd in Maryland. Hiring plan is currently under review. Park Station is the very first effective hiring plan, so I'll definitely give you more information as that's rolling in. City lots for working families, as I said, the RFA was launched in fall of 22 and currently working on next steps with the 20th Ward office. Now, the Woodlawn Loan Fund. So the loan fund launched in April of 21 and has already closed on one property for 12 units, with half of the units affordable to families at 80% AMI. So several developers are in the loan, developers and developments are in the loan one pipeline. And today, I believe 32 units were created and half will be affordable. So as more information comes in for that program, definitely will let you all know. The development on city-owned land, the RFQ launches summer 22. We had 31 design firms applied for developers. And for this one, the winning firm will be selected the week of April 17th. Now, to preserve the peer program. Now, since the launch, there's no building owners have applied to the program. So we will definitely have time at the end of this meeting to see how we can engage with the community to make sure that people know more about the PAIR program, the tenant rightful refusal, as well as the long-term homeowner improvement. Next up to a long-term home improvement grant and any programs that are not really gaining any traction. We want to make sure that the community is all on board to push these forward. So right now we will hear a presentation from the Cook County Land Bank Authority. Whenever you're ready, Aisha.
Okay, no problem. I have screen access, correct?
Yes, let me give you. Let me stop sharing. Yes, you have access. Apologies, dude. Should drop up on this call. We can just give another minute. Okay, while Elijah is coming back on the call, we can just move to, we can just move to business affairs and consumer protections, if you're ready.
Okay, sorry about
Okay, all right, so go ahead, Elijah. Let me give.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, I'm Alicia Sanders with the Cook County Land Bank Authority. And basically what the land bank does is acquire vacant properties throughout Cook County. So that includes the Chicagoland area, as well as the western and southern suburbs. So a little bit about Land Banking 101. There are multiple land banks throughout the United States. It's not, I know a lot of times people think it's just something that's within the Chicago area, but it's actually not. There are over about 30 land banks throughout the United States, and still more being developed once they get through council and getting their approvals. How to engage with the land bank. We are a very open county government. You can access us via telephone at 312, and this information is still available on the last slide, 312-603-8015. We are also present on social media, as well as our website is cookcountylandbank.org. As I said previously on the previous screen, there are other land banks throughout the United States, and here you'll see a few others mentioned. We have Lucas County Land Bank. A lot of people are familiar with the land bank in Detroit. Also, Genesee County, Philadelphia also has the land bank as well. So what happens with the land bank throughout the different states, everybody has the same mission, where we only sell to local developers, as well as make sure that any area that's experiencing a high distressed property in their areas, as well as abandoned and vacant properties, where we can come in and make sure that those properties become back sustainable in the area and decrease crime, put back on the tax rolls, and being impactful throughout the neighborhood. So just a few roles of the land bank. I know you see those, everything in green is what we are. What's in red is what we aren't. So most people, when they hear bank, they think of actual traditional financing banking. We are not a bank that lends money or anything. What we do is bank properties, so to speak. So that's where the banking part comes in at. We are the community stakeholder and leader within the different neighborhoods, working with local organizations as well as residents. We are also a property owner and manager. So when I say property owner, we do own properties throughout Cook County, and we also manage those properties with our property preservation companies. So our property preservation companies come out twice a month, clean up the exterior of the property, and also make sure that the inside of the property is safe to walk through for any potential buyers. We are also a land use planner. That means anytime you see a lot of contiguous land or any spaced out land, there's plans in place, or we try to make sure that we're being cognizant of any planning in the area, as well as any local organizations and the neighborhood residents planning that's going on. So we just want to make sure that everybody is involved, the stakeholders, the residents in that area when we're planning the usage of land. We are also a development partner with other local agencies within the county. So we work with Department of Buildings, Department of Housing, our sister partners, South Suburban Land Bank, a lot of other different community agencies throughout the city and the county. We are a pre-development specialist. So we do also work with larger commercial scale developers who are organizing and constructing plans where it may take up to 3 years or so. So we do work with developers in that sense as well. So our main goal here at the Land Bank, our mission is to reduce and return vacant land and abandoned buildings back into reliable and sustainable community assets. Nobody wants to see the vacant house on their block. Nobody wants to see the vacant lot with all the trash in there. We want to make sure that everything that's in our neighborhoods is being well taken care of. And then we also have home ownership. So this is kind of like a framework of how the land bank works in a sense of everyday matter, so to speak. So we are transactional in nature. So we are operating as a real estate company, so to speak. So we do acquire properties. We do sell those properties. So from the planning stage up until the end use. So those actual end use is what we're trying to get to when we acquire vacant properties. We don't want to hold on to them. We want to make sure they get put back into local neighborhood ownership and also local developers that we work with. Our geographic focus is making sure that the market demand is in line with the strategies for the neighborhoods that we're working in. You mostly see land banks working in areas where there is a high vacancy rate, right? I know a lot of people ask us, do we have any inventory up north or things of that nature? We try to be impactful where the need is, so to speak. So we just try to make sure wherever we are, have our focus at, that it's going to be a collaborative in order to decrease the vacant properties. And we also at the end there that you would see the market intervention. What you see a lot of in the neighborhoods when developers or homeowners or anyone tries to acquire vacant property, be it a structure or land, is that the title may be cloudy. So when I say the title may be cloudy, you may not be able to purchase it. It could be a water lien or something on it that needs to be paid. It could be city liens. All of those can be an issue when someone's trying to acquire the property. So the land bank does have the access and the resources to extinguish out those liens and judgments and then sell back the properties to the neighborhood, our local residents, local developers. So we're able to clear out those liens on properties and give access. So our main goal is to make sure that everybody is given access to the properties, because most of the time, a lot of the vacant properties that you see sitting are stuck, and people just say they're stuck like in some cycle. And most of the time, the cycle is the liens and the judgments and working through the process of clearing title. So we are glad that we're able to have the resources to clear title and then offer those properties back at a discounted price to the market. So how do you buy a property from the land bank? As I stated before, you can go to our website that's listed here, cookcountylandbank.org. All of the properties that are available for sale are listed on our website. So there's no fee or anything to look through the website. You can look through the website, see everything that's available. If you're interested in a property, you can click the apply button. It doesn't guarantee you or put you under contractual agreement or anything like that. This is just giving you access to the property. And just to give you a few stats regarding our, inventory as far as the land bank, you'll see our top 5 neighborhoods and our top 5 suburban locations where we have the most inventory in. As you can see, Woodlawn isn't there, I guess, which is a good thing. We do have inventory in Woodlawn, but not as much as we do in other areas that are experiencing a lot of distressed properties, which we're trying to work through our way in being of assistance in those areas. Since the inception of the land bank, so these stats aren't listed on the PowerPoint, but I do have them written down. So as of today, we have sold 53 properties in Woodlawn. 20 of those were homes to homeowners, and 33 of those were vacant lots, and 9 of those vacant lots went to adjacent homeowners. Right here on the screen that you see now is the inventory that we have available in Woodlawn. Contrary to popular belief, I know every time everyone sees a vacant property, they think the land bank owns it. Not necessarily true. But we only have 1 home right now available in Woodlawn. And as you see, the 33 parcels of land. And that's pretty much it for Woodlawn. We're working our way through being a good partner in the community and making sure that the parcels that we do have are given to good stewards. So what do you do when you make it to our website? When you go to our website, all the information about how to work with the land bank, any frequently asked questions is listed on the website as well. As I said before, you can go on the website and view properties. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to sign up for anything. Only time you have to create a username and password is when you actually want to go into a property and receive the access code. Once you complete that initial application, it's maybe about 12 or 13 questions, just asking you any conflict of interest questions, do you owe the city or the county any tax funds or anything like that? There is 5 business days, which your application will be reviewed. And most of the time it's reviewed before 5 business days, and you can get the access code. If you have any questions, always feel free to contact us at info@cookcountylandbank.org. And I also want to chime in about, we do have a new program coming out. Our executive director, Jessica Caffrey, is probably going to announce it later this month or beginning of May. But we do have funds allocated for home ownership. So these funds can be used for a homeowner purchasing a property from the land bank or from one of our developers. This funds will go up to $20,000. So it will be able to assist any homeowner when they're purchasing these properties from the land bank. And that is it for the presentation. If anybody has any questions.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, great. So I do have a couple of questions. One is the 33 parcels that you identified in your slide. Are those considered vacant lots for residential development?
So if it was under residential, yes. You mean the 33 that have been sold?
Well, I'm not sure if that was sold. I thought that was part of your inventory. You showed a slide that
Oh, yes.
indicated you have one residential building.
Yes.
So those are vacant lots.
Yes. Anything residential land is vacant lots. Yes.
Got it. Okay, great. My second question is, I have some concerns about you all's process when you do assign property to developers. There's no community engagement typically, or at least on this last deal where you have the developer that is developing property, I believe on Evans. You know, and I think we all applaud, it's a local development and all of that, but there was no community engagement in that.
Right. So with our residential land, the zoning for the residential land, most of the time, any property that was previously there was a residential property. And it could have been a single family home or a multifamily home. The developers engage the community when it's a commercial project. So our residential projects, unless it's on a larger scale, are sold to the developers. They are vetted within our internal team, approved by our executive director for any sales transactions with the residential land. So the zoning or anything like that didn't change. It's still the same zoning for the properties. So that's where you see the regular development as far as new construction and things of that nature.
If I might respond to that. So if you might imagine living on a block or around the corner from someone who's building 15 properties or doing a significant rehab, that's going to change the essence of the community and on the block. And I'm just making a point, you know, something to take back to your team, that the neighbors that I talk to are concerned about not having been engaged for that particular development. And I think going forward, it would be a good idea to just say, hey, residents, we've got a developer, we've sold a property, we plan to have this scope of development take place on your block or around the corner. That's all I wanted to leave with you.
Okay, thanks, noted. And we do have it where most of our developers are engaged with the local residents on the block, you know, just to make sure that they're in contact, you know, having that introduction. So yes, I've noted your comment as well. Thank you.
I would like to underscore Mr. Bailey's point. I, you know, I live and work in the 20th Ward and in West Woodlawn, and I have, other than the large commercial developments, I've never seen or heard from anybody who was acquiring and developing properties in, I know you're saying that, you know, the smaller properties, you have different rules for them. And again, to Dwayne's point, that the neighborhood deserves to have a conversation and a query And I think it would be a great thing, for example, if there were a, well, you could drop it in the chat now, for example, the list of developers, the approved, who are the approved developers? What is the process for achieving that status? The opening and closing of those opportunities, the scoring criteria, or how you win or don't win in terms of applying for that status. How can we understand a little bit more transparently how that process is happening and who's poised to do business in our neighborhood?
Okay, so we only sell to local developers, and listed on our website, you'll also find our offer requirements, and we do score any applicants. So what happens is we have offer requirements. So you have to provide proof of funds. When we say proof of funds, you have to show proof of funds for the development as well as the acquisition of the property. The reason we ask for the proof of funds for the development or the rehab of the property is what we've seen in the past is a lot of purchasers buy properties, they have the funds to purchase, however, they never complete the rehab of the property. So what we've seen is that setting them up for success and having those funds up front, we know that the project will start after closing, which is what we've seen. The work immediately starts after they close with us to proceed. Another caveat of the offer requirements is they have to provide a plan. So the actual plan, development plan, what they're going to do with the property, sell to a homeowner, if they're going to occupy it for home ownership. Included within that plan is the scope of work. The scope of work includes a line item scope of work. This details out how much you're paying for labor and materials. Again, we want to make sure any of our buyers that are purchasing knows the project before they get into the project.
Just in honor of time, Ms. Sanders, I want to say I understand those standard development protocol. Everybody wants proof of funds, everyone wants a plan, everyone wants a scope. But I think what Mr. Bailey and I are focused on is what is the community engagement component around people who meet that threshold. Doesn't mean that they're good business people for our community. So,
right. So let me make the short version of that. So we only sell to the local developers and local neighborhood ownership. We work right now with over 100 local developers. When I say local, they live in the neighborhoods. They work in the neighborhood, ours the neighborhood that they grew up in, right? So that covers that part. So they are invested, not just, to go in and flip a house, and they are also considering the home ownership portion. So that's what the residential, as we all are aware, whenever you're purchasing off the MLS or, just the real estate in general, the smaller residential up to 2 or 4 units, those are regular transactional purchases that we have. So those transactions are, I said earlier, are approved with our executive director. So if we're selling a single family house or doing a new construction on existing where there's no zoning, then those right now do not require community engagement. What we have done community engagement is with the bank building on 63rd and Cottage, like on the larger developments where we want to make sure that what is coming into the neighborhood is likable for the full community. The smaller scale properties, normally those are just our regular transactional properties that we're doing. We do also work locally with the elected officials in the area to understand that, anything that they want to see in the area. So we kind of get like an idea of what's going on in the area. Just like we're on this call today, we work with other organizations as well throughout the neighborhoods just to hear what the voice is. So we do take into account for all the community residents, what they're looking for.
Well, in closing, and thank you very much, I would recommend a more robust and direct community engagement process, and happy to share more offline or provide support if CCLB is open to that approach.
Okay, yeah, I think we met with you before, but yeah, we can have a meeting offline. Yeah, we can have a meeting offline to discuss.
We think we have time for one more question. Wendy.
Hi. after the last two speakers, I have to ask the question, what would be the process for an official community engagement process to be part of your process? I understand that you did it with the bank building, but for all of the properties, what would be the harm in having a community meeting and sharing with neighbors the plan for a particular parcel before it's sold?
Okay,
I'm
so
not saying that they could vote yes or no, but I'm just saying, you know, from a common courtesy perspective, and since people are asking for this, is it possible? And if so, what would be our process to make this happen? Because it sounds like it's a policy change that you need to make, and we would be interested.
right. So let me note that, and then just to be clear, like, so we're working with, let's say, a single family home. We already are up against the barriers of permitting and other obstacles with our developers or with anybody just purchasing a property. So are you saying a community engagement for like a single family home?
I'm saying for, yes, before they even start to get their permits, before you say, yes, we are going to sell you this property, we would like for you to meet with neighbors. Like, what would be our course of action to make this part of your process?
I'll note that and take it back to our executive director. I can say, you know, just from a timing perspective and from a perspective of a single family home. So if you have our own homeowner purchasing, we're trying to clear the barriers, so to speak. So when what's going to happen is this, it would steer someone this type of access or control when you buy from the MLS, right? So this wouldn't be an ask to go to CAR, you know, things of that nature. So we do try to be working partners. I've noted that information, and then I'll follow up with Hugo for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia, for
Sure, no problem.
presentation, and apologies for mispronouncing your name.
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you.
No problem. So as we move on, Michelle, whenever you're ready to present, and give you co-host and access. Right. Whenever ready, Michelle, you can share your screen, or I have your slides if you would like me to do it for you.
Yes, you have the slides.
Okay, give me 1 second. Right, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Murray, and I'm an investigator with Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, Business Compliance Enforcement Unit. Next slide, please. Next slide. So on this slide, you'll see phone numbers, email addresses, and the address for City Hall if you are interested in a business license, or if you have an existing business license and you have questions about that, you can definitely reach out to someone and someone will respond to your inquiry. Next slide, please. So the main function of BACP, Business Compliance Enforcement, is to ensure businesses are operating in compliance for licensing. One of our functions is we do on-site inspections for liquor, PPA, which is a public place of amusement license, and you would need that if you are having some type of entertainment or charging an admission, and tobacco license. So for the liquor license, you cannot be within 100 feet of a place of worship, a school, hospital. If you are within 100 feet, your license will not be approved. For the PPA license, you cannot be within 200 feet of a place of worship, school, hospital, library. For the liquor and PPA licenses, we actually come on the premises to do the on-site inspection. We do have a copy of your site plan. BACP does not dictate the layout of your site plan. It just says that whatever site plan is submitted when we come out for the inspection, your interior must be set up accordingly. If you have changed the interior, you have two options. You can change the interior to match the site plan, or you can submit a new site plan. For the liquor and PPA licenses, you must have the public notice posted and it be visible. We do take photos of the inside and we image those photos to your account. And that's to just make sure that you're still operating in the way that you're set up to be. So for example, when someone comes out to do an investigation, and let's just say you're a restaurant and you have liquor would be the incidental activity, but then you've turned into a club. We will have those photos on an image to your account, so we'll know what you were supposed to have been set up as opposed to what you changed to. For the liquor, excuse me, you cannot have liquor on the premises until the license has been approved and issued. For the tobacco license, you can be within 500 feet of a high school or 100 feet of a daycare center, or grammar school, or any facility where children under the age of 18. So with the liquor, PPA, and tobacco licenses, when we take the measurement for the location restriction actually dictates where that measurement is taken from. Some people believe that the measurement is taken from the front of the establishment, which is incorrect. So for example, if the location restriction, I'll just use school as an example. If it's in the rear, that measurement will be taken from the rear. And it's property line to property line, except for the place of worship. It would be to the actual building of that place of worship. Next slide, please. So when investigators do an investigation of a business, we do not make appointments, we just show up. Most of our investigations are complaint driven. Residents can call in complaints. Any other city department can call in complaints. Basically, anyone can call in a complaint about a business. Investigators do not need a search warrant to come into your business and do a premise check. One of the main things that we search for or look for is the business license, and that must be displayed and it must be visible. The investigators will make sure that you're operating within the scope of your business license. So for example, if you are a grocery store and you have, I'll just use liquor and tobacco products, you have to also have that listed on your business application and then also be licensed for those additional business activities. We do check for ownership. If you are a corporation, we do check the state of Illinois corporations and the city of Chicago offices that you have on your application. If they do not match, citations will be issued. If you're a sole proprietor, then you don't have to worry about the corporation with the state of Illinois. However, you must be listed as the owner on that business license. If someone in your family dies and they have a business, you cannot just take ownership of that business. You do have to inform BACP, and you will have 60 days to inform BACP that your family member has passed on, and you can actually go through the proper channels to get the license in your name. Next slide, please. Another thing that we check for is permits. If there is anything over the public way, doesn't matter how small it is, you must have a permit for it. And a permit just says that you're asking permission from the city to use their space. So whether it's a security camera, a sign, an awning. If an investigator comes out and there isn't a permit on file, you will be given a 90-day notice. And you get 90 days because there is a process. When you fill out the application, you must submit it to the alderman's office. And then the alderman sign off on it. And you must submit it to public way use. Excuse me. If you're selling tobacco products, there are so many requirements when you have tobacco products on the premises. And tobacco is one of the main things that cause us to have these problem businesses in neighborhoods. We do have a tobacco team, and they mainly focus on tobacco. Illegal cigarettes would be cigarettes that do not have the city of Chicago tax stamp. We call those unstamped cigarettes. Illegal cigarettes will have the state of Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, wherever they're from. If they don't have the city of Chicago tax stamp, they're illegal. We do have a program, tobacco sales to minors. So we do try to ensure that these businesses are operating in compliance and not selling cigarettes or even just tobacco products to minors. There are 2 investigators and a minor. And the way the program is set up is that, first off, all licensees who have a tobacco license, they're very aware of this program. And it is not entrapment. That is a misconception. Some people do believe that it's entrapment. It is not. Entrapment would be if we were coercing you to do something that you wouldn't ordinarily do. So you are supposed to ask for ID or ask the age of the person who's trying to buy cigarettes. And this is every person that comes in. So with this program, one investigator stays in the vehicle. The other investigator goes into the business with the minor, but that investigator is undercover. That investigator is close enough to hear the conversation occurs between the minor and the employee. If the employee asks the age of the minor must be truthful. They cannot not tell the truth. They have to tell their real age. If there's a sale, then the citation is issued on the spot. The minor goes back to the vehicle with the other investigator, while the investigator that's in the store takes care of the citation. You cannot have 3 violations with your period. If you sell to a minor with 3 times within 2 years, your tobacco license will be revoked. With tobacco, you must have your records on site. So your records will be your receipts wherever you actually purchase your tobacco products. If unstamped cigarettes are found, that's another citation. We have come across fake walls, fake ceilings, fake floors, fake drawers, anything to kind of just throw us off so they can sell those cigarettes. When unstamped cigarettes are found, they are actually confiscated. We do have 2 new rules. If you are a retail tobacco store or applying to be a retail tobacco store, you cannot be within 1,000 feet of an existing licensed retail tobacco store. If you are applying to be a vape store, you cannot be within 1,000 feet of a licensed existing vape store. Those new rules have been, I think, since February, so they're fairly new. Also, if you are a tobacco retail store and you're smoking on a premises, you have to be in a freestanding building, meaning that there can't be a business on a building on either side. Then also, if you're on floor level, there cannot be anything or anybody occupying any floors above, unless that building is owner occupied. Next slide, please. Retail rules. When investigators go into a business, we'll also check this to make sure that all your advertisements are accurate. Your sales tax, your sales receipt must have everything itemized. The items that were purchased, the cost, and then also the taxes. When an investigator goes into a business, they will take several items and they take them randomly. And they go through the check through as though they're a customer, and that's how they ensure that everything is correct. If there's overcharges on taxes or any items, those are citations. BACP does not dictate what your refund return exchange policy should be. It just says whatever it is, it has to be posted. Just having your policy on a receipt is not enough. Next slide, please. Outdated merchandise. So you can sell outdated merchandise. It just has to be separate for items that are not outdated. You can have a table and you have a sign, just letting your customers know that it's outdated. The violation comes in when we find outdated merchandise mixed with items that are not outdated. There are so many items that have expiration dates that you probably wouldn't even think of. Baby powder, for example, toothpaste. If you own a business, just make sure you check your expiration dates. APS, alternative pricing system. If you think about maybe Target, Jewel, some of the bigger stores, and they had a chef labels, that's what APS is, and you have to have a certification. It's really simple. You just go online, you apply for it, an investigator come out and do an inspection for you. If you are not APS certified, all items must be price marked individually. We do get information about recalls. And you must ensure that you're not selling any items that have been recalled. Deceptive practice. That can show up in a variety of ways. So if you're in a store and you buy a case of water and it's $5.99, but you get to the cash register and it rings up for $9.99, that's deceptive practice. Those are citations. Also, we do have a consumer fraud unit and we take care deception and fraud. I conduct consumer fraud investigations, and that would be one of the main things that we really have a lot of complaints about is our contractors. So if you have a contractor and they're going to do work on your home, they take your money and don't do any work, you will call us. You will call 311 and put a complaint in. Consumer fraud complaint. Or if you pay them and they do some of the work, not all the work, you can also call in. Or if let's just say you go to a cleaner's and when you get there, they no longer have your clothing. That's deception. If you have plastic bags on your premises, you must have reusable bags for sale, and a recycling bin must be on the premises as well. Next slide. Weights and measures. So we do have a team to make sure that scales are operating correctly, the scale in the produce or the scale right there at the checkout. Then also we do have a team that goes out to filling stations to make sure that consumers are not being overcharged. So they just make sure that there's no water in the gas, and make sure that when the gas is pumping, those numbers are not running rapidly to overcharge the customers. Next slide. Now, if you are a business owner and anything happens in or around your business, you must call 911. There's actually an ordinance with that, and you must cooperate with CPD's investigation. It does not matter if anyone else has called 911, you as the licensee have that responsibility to actually call 911 yourself. Next slide. On this slide here, more email addresses and phone numbers. If you have any questions about licensing, whether you are a resident and you have complaints, or you want information about businesses, or if you're a business owner or a potential business owner, feel free to reach out and someone will respond to you.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're
Just
welcome.
is now we're just going to take questions. Okay, I see. All right, go ahead, Tyra.
Thanks, Ugo. Hi, Michelle. This is Tyra Owens from 20th Ward. How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good. I put a question in the chat, but you were talking at the time. And that you may have covered this, but I just wanted to know, how do minors become engaged in the inspection process?
We do have a program where we get them from, it's a social service agency. And I don't know how they get the minors, but if you like, I can find that information out for you.
Yep, I can put contact information in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put it in there.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead, Dr. Jim.
All right, thank you. Ms. Murray, thank you for the information. I just had one question. Toward the end, you mentioned that business owners are required to call the police when there's an illegal activity. Has that, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this. So if a 911 call is made and the police are responding to a business, is there a way to verify whether the actual business owner followed that ordinance and made the call as well?
Yes, all calls are tracked and reported. So they will know if the business owner called or not.
Okay, and so just to follow up, so if they did not call and there was a issue at their business, are they cited for that?
Yes, they are.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Questions? Okay, thank you, Michelle, for your presentation. Really appreciate you
welcome.
for coming out. And now we're going to transition to the YWCA, Metropolitan Chicago. So, Lafayette, Julie, if you're whenever you're ready.
Yes, you're gonna share so I can run the
Yeah.
slides, please.
Yes. Let me
Thank you.
share my screen right now. Okay,
Oh, you're
whenever
gonna
you're
run
ready.
the slides?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can run the slide for you.
oh, I was, okay.
You do want to?
I was
can.
going to myself if I could.
All right, so let me give you code. Sorry, apologies. Let me give you code.
No worries, thank you.
Okay, you can share your screen.
Okay. Okay. Hi, thank you for having me. I'm Lafayette Williams with the YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago. As you can see, we have Office of HUD counselors and our contact information there on the bottom.
Hold on, Lafayette. Sorry, I can't see your screen.
Oh. Okay. One second. Oh. Hmm. Can you see me now? You go?
No, I can just
Oh.
I can just run your slides and then.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead. Sorry about that. Again, my name is Lafayette Williams. I'm with the YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago. Just a little background. Most folks aren't that familiar, but the Young Women's Christian Association is a very old, established in 1876 national organization, or actually international organization, primarily spearheading the needs of women and women families, but basically just supporting our communities as a whole. Our mission is to eliminate racism and to empower women, along with ending the racial wealth gap and promoting peace and dignity for everyone. Next slide, please. So here you see our mission centers. And this basically just shows we're working with people from individuals to small families, providing all different types of support. Many people don't realize it, but not only do we provide things as small as maybe childcare, but all the way to sexual assault victims and counseling, as well as various types of counseling. In particular, our office, we work with people with financial empowerment, and those communities that require certain types of presentation and details as related to how they're impacted, not only financially, but being sensitive to their needs specifically. As I mentioned, there's early childhood needs that we work with as well, not just simply childcare, but also helping children with school needs and things of that nature as well in the parents' single family homes, and then on to our economic equity that we work with in the division that I'm in. Next slide, please. So here we are, the economic empowerment service portfolio. We like to consider ourselves, we like to take people from surviving to striving to catalyzing. And with that meaning, you are a part of the community just like we are, and we want to help those who can continually grow within our community to the point that they're not just supporting themselves and their family, but they're also an integral part of their community and helping them to thrive. So you see the multiple list of items that we have. One of the things that we're really proud of, an organization that we acquired not too long ago, is Streetwise. A lot of people don't realize that. So helping folks to help themselves is something that I consider one of the great missions that the YWCA does, and Streetwise in particular does that by having street vendors who are empowering themselves by selling the papers to people in their communities. There are a few other things, not only that, like I said, it mentions individuals and families, but also businesses. So we help to bring people's visions or goals or ideals to fruition. So you may have a regular day-to-day job, but you also have, so to speak, a side hustle or a dream that you like to bring to fruition. Well, we do have an incubator. So we help people to bring their business to fore, and that will catalyze them to be a better part of their community, and also to support and sustain their families, and maybe even sustain themselves generationally. Next slide, please. So this is a simple overview of our program. One of the key things that we do in the community is we like to provide training or education behind these several topics that are listed here. Our financial workshop can be taken by anyone, or pretty much all of these will speak to most people. Some are a little particular our foreclosure prevention program. But all of these workshops ranging anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours. And the home buyer workshop, which is a more intensive program because it literally takes someone from preparation to purchasing a home. And you work with one of our counselors doing that as well. So these workshops are tailored to work to the needs of those individuals who are either looking to get their finances in the line. That would include things such as credit counseling, managing debt, going through delinquencies and things of that nature, and how you can go through the different steps to remedy your credit report and improve your credit rating, so to speak. And in that way, you can get a better loan and explain that to people, and debt to income and things of that nature. And so we also work with renters and what that means to be a renter and the types of things that you need, like insurance, that a lot of people don't think about. It's just going through the different steps of what that entails and the relationship and their ability and their I would say their their rights as it related to being a tenant and what the landlord can and cannot do as related to their tenancy. Of course, like I mentioned, the home buyer workshop is very involved. We get into all the different aspects and the partners that you will have to work with, from the lender to the realtor, to the home inspector, to an attorney, and what all those different people do to help present or bring forth them to getting into a home. But we also, like I mentioned earlier, speak to the financial piece throughout that to get them a clear and understanding how each piece of that has some type of maybe legal as well as financial aspect that they need to be mindful of as they go through the process. Once they acquire a home, our home ownership workshop, that helps people to, and there's various facets to it, but it talks about the things that you do as a homeowner to maintain, not just maintaining the property, but maintaining your financial stability, and making sure that you are deriving the equity from your property as best as possible to use that as a financial piece. Again, trying to empower people in the financial marketplace by home ownership. And then sadly, there are people who do come to us in the situation that are foreclosure or potentially foreclosure, hopefully. So that way we can explain to them what that entails and how that, how the process would move forward and what they can do to mitigate their situation to keep from going into foreclosure. If they're already in court, we have partners that we work with, like Cook County Legal Aid, and they can then provide not only guidance or counseling, but oftentimes free representation for them in court. But we speak to a lot of different things that folks don't know. As many of us may or may not know, a home is probably the most valuable asset most people ever acquire. And that way, they're not really that astute or haven't had a lot of experience with acquiring a property, let alone the potential of losing that property. So we try and bring them up to speed and go alongside them throughout each of these processes. Our counselors work with them, which is our one-on-one counseling piece, which we're very proud of. We have HUD certified counselors. These individuals work with them in all these different facets, but we not only have a relationship with them just in the training, but we work with them beyond that to make sure that they're kept in good stead. And we're always going to be there as a resource for them because we are a part of the community, which they are a part of as well. And we want to support each and every one in that respect. Next slide, please. So we are actually located in Woodlawn, and we have several offices in and around the city. We are basically metropolitan Chicago, like I mentioned. And so you can come to these offices here. The offices that I work out over in Bronzeville, but we have access to any of the offices. We can meet people at any of these locations to go through these types of processes of any of these programs. Most of those workshops that I mentioned, if not all, are presented via Zoom, but we can do them in person if need be. And we do come out, thank goodness, COVID is pretty much dying out. So we've had some really good open presentations in public that were orchestrated not only by ourselves, but by our partner organizations as well. Next slide. So with that, if you see our website, our link there, you can go to our YWCA Chicago.org. Are there any questions that you may have about what I've spoken to, or any questions that you may have in general about the why? I'd be happy to answer if I can. No questions? All right, well, thanks again for your time, and I appreciate it. And please think of the why whenever you have any interest in engaging with your community or getting any support, particularly with economic empowerment.
Thank you. Thank you, Lafayette. Thank you to the YWCA staff for joining this evening's meeting. For the last 20 or so minutes, we'd like to have, go ahead, Liz.
I'm sorry, could the Y put his email in the chat? I did have a couple of questions, but couldn't find my hand thing. So I'll email you directly.
But you could ask it now. We have time for you to ask your question and open. It's just our discussion period.
Well, I had a question. He had said that there was some housing support, and I wondered if the housing support was for condominiums. There are a lot of small condominiums that need technical assistance and help with bylaws and things like that. Is there a service at the Y, or is there a program that perhaps you all may have been thinking about for the small condominium buildings? We do have a condominium boom here in Woodlawn, and we don't have services for the small buildings.
I want to make sure I understand you clear. Are you talking about HOAs?
Yes.
Okay, we don't right now speak to anything in particular about homeowner associations, but we have plenty of resources to look into it for you. Is there something in particular? Are you having issues working with your HOA or?
Well, yes, and it's just been a pattern that the small associations generally have a problem when the unit is 1 unit out of 4 is sold or foreclosed on, and those remaining homeowners have problems with meeting assessments or paying bills, and just overall dysfunction of a condominium association. So it would be nice to have some sort of technical assistance or training for those people who may be interested in even purchasing a condominium.
Okay, we do speak to homeowner associations because you can obviously lose your property as related to non-payment and things of that nature. It puts you in jeopardy. So, but I would say that more legal counseling might be something of need. Cook County Legal Aid, like I said, is a free resource. They may have some ability to address that, but I could certainly, you can give us a call and we could speak to your situation in particular, and I can definitely do the research and let you know. I don't know if you got my number down there, but that is our direct line to our office, 312-328-0873.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will reach out.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Hi Liz. My name is Whitney. So I oversee the city's housing counseling centers program. So right now, majority of housing counseling centers do not offer a condo training program in the sense of what you're talking about. But we do have agencies that offer a condo training that you have to attend if you're going to be purchasing a condo with city funds, and tell you like the bylaws and the things of that such with a condo association. But I can most definitely go back and start looking and let Ugo know, because it sounds like if you all are having issues with making assessments and things of that such, you should be speaking as a whole. Is your condo association like defunct, or it's non-existent, or repairs need to be made to the building, but you all are having issues with making repairs because not everyone is able to contribute?
Yes, not only my building, but there's several buildings, I do believe, in Woodlawn, Bronzeville, just wherever they're building the smaller condominium buildings, and I mean 6 units or less. So some of them are owners that don't understand how to be in a condo. It's where the finances are not taken care of properly, where people don't understand Illinois Condo Act. So it's a lot of issues that some of these condominiums are having, and thus it creates a problem inside the neighborhoods, meaning if people can't resolve their issues, they will then walk away from the unit. And then there is one more home that's in foreclosure. And when that happens, somebody may pick up that unit, and then it'll be a rental. And what we want are homeowners. And so there we go with, it's a vicious cycle. So I think if more people are educated, and then the condominiums that are in trouble, there's a place to go to seek help.
Okay, so yes, I understand what you're saying. So it sounds like there's no acting HOA in a lot of the condos, and I know that's an issue like in a lot of South Side neighborhoods like South Shore, where the condos are just, everyone is acting individually. No one is paying HOA fees for the upkeep or everything that's going on in the home. So I would suggest like individually as condo owners to go and speak with the YWCA as a collective, so they can see like, because if it's like a building issue where you need to fix maintenance or anything, they can walk you through with how to apply for a loan to take care of those building issues, if it's property tax issues or things of that such. I will be able to look and see if the condo trainings go further in depth in like how to make a no longer active HOA more active, but to my knowledge right now, we
Hey,
do
Whitney.
on this.
I'm
Yes,
sorry to
Aaron.
interrupt you.
Oh.
Ugo put this link in the chat, the Center for Shared Ownership, which is a joint project for the Chicago Community Loan Fund and the Chicago Rehab Network, does offer technical assistance. So I'll just read the little blurb. It's the comprehensive program aimed to preserve condo, co-op, townhome properties by working with governing bodies to improve operating and governance, connect to resource, plan for capital improvements, and turn around properties in areas of risk of homeowner loss and displacement. So it does seem like a good option for you all to go do there. So Ugo put their link in the chat. It's the chicagorehab.org one, and you can fill out, there's a request for assistance survey that you can fill out, and they also can help you all when the governance, those capital improvements and other things. And then also the Chicago Community Loan Fund is a lender, a CDFI, which is Chicago Community Development Financial Institution. So they are more mission oriented in their lending.
It's Naomi. I just want to say something real quick, which is I've lost my home based on the kinds of problems that Liz is talking about. And while it is good to have information and resources, really it may be that there's some legislation that's needed or some kind of regulatory penalties or something that has some muscle to make people do the right thing, because education and information is, I can promise you, it is not adequate for the kinds of circular and persisting problems that a blameless homeowner can get caught up in.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Naomi. I know that we're doing our South Shore pilot to help try to address some of these issues, but we can also take that back to our neighborhood preservation team who's working on that and share that information with them.
That would be great. Thank you, Whitney, Aaron, Lafayette, and Naomi. I just think that with the small condos that are here and the ones that are in the pipeline and then the ones that are ready for sale, I just see a tsunami of problems if we can't get a handle on this now. And I do believe with what Naomi is saying, that it's got to be some teeth behind it. So I really appreciate this brief conversation. I don't want to take up all the meeting, but I will certainly reach out to all of you for that.
Thank you all. Please feel free to, for like the last 10 minutes, please feel free to ask any questions.
Okay. All right. I do have some, I want to step back and visit a couple of things that we've talked about when we first began the meeting. So I guess I had a different expectation for what I would hear tonight. I think the last few meetings with the city, we've had presentations by the Department of Planning and Development, who have discussed RFPs and development along the 63rd Street corridor. What I expected to hear tonight from the Department of Housing is the status of RFPs for the development of single-family homes in Woodlawn on city-owned vacant lots. Can you speak to that?
Talking about for the single family homes? Be clear?
Yes, sir.
No, no, but I can get you that information. The individual that handles that program is not on the call tonight, but I can definitely relay the message.
Has an RFP been released? Do we know?
It's hasn't been released, but it's in the process right now. So I can definitely get back to you on that.
Okay.
Does, this is Tara. Can you share with the gentleman, because he's correct, he's been part of the working group, Mr. Bailey. Were they all informed that the process has begun in reviewing those 3 plans by the board? Or who was selected when y'all sent out the emails about the community members who were going to be a part of this selection committee?
And hey, Tara, you're talking about
Hey, well, yeah.
from the last meeting at High Park to the RFQ, right?
It was just, I think maybe back in December. No, I just received, we had back in February, you guys sent out the nominating email about nominating individuals from the working group to evaluate, to be community evaluators. I don't think, from what I'm hearing from Mr. Bailey, is that he's not abreast of that next step has been taken, and where he can find out who the individuals were, or the entire working group can go to find out who the individuals were that were nominated by our peers, and is moving on to the next step in this process.
Yeah.
Hey, Ms. Tara, I think that was from Department of Planning. I don't think that was from Housing.
Okay.
Yeah, from Department of Planning, I just dropped it in the chat. If you look on the right side of the screen, we have 9 individuals that were nominated.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I think so. Because Mr. Bailey, did you have that information?
So yeah, so that information I had, but my understanding is that group is specifically working with planning on the 63rd Street developments. So so tonight for housing, their focus is supposed to be on single family homes on the infill vacant lots that the city owns, right? And we've heard nothing about that for months. And I'm just trying to understand where we are with
that process,
moving forward on that, right?
Okay, no problem. I can get you that information tomorrow. I'll get you drop your well, I do have an email address, so we'll make sure. Aaron.
Yeah, what I was just going to say is that you're correct. Is that we did an RFA, which was a request for applications for this, that was released last summer, and then closed. And so we were, as Hugo said, we were going through the process of evaluating those applications. We are in close contact with the aldermanic office, the alderwoman's office, just to make sure that we're getting the results that we want. So, so the person, as Hugo said, who works on that is working closely with the aldermanic office on this area. So yeah, Hugo will get back to you with that information, because we just want to make sure that we're getting the types of results that we want to see with local development, the types of housing that we would like to see with the community, and then the process that will be community informed for these developments as well.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. And Savannah?
Yes, hey everyone. So going back to the process in which these RFPs are being selected, I was just curious as to how that was done. I understand that there is a selection committee, but what does that look like? Because in regards to the community engagement, I feel like there's been very little opportunity for folks to give feedback and then see that feedback acted upon. So just wondering, what are the parameters in which are going to decide who is the winning proposal, since this is going to be announced next week?
So you said what was the process of the 3 proposals, from the last meeting that we had?
What is the process of them being selected? So there's like 9 individuals that are a part of the selection. So what is the actual process?
Yeah, from my understanding, it was actually randomly selected from a group name. I can definitely the process, I can definitely get that information for you. That is on DPD side.
Okay.
But I do know that the names were randomly selected.
Right. I just wanted to know if there was a procedure or priorities that were going to then determine who was going to win, because when it came to community engagement, like it was very limited. And so I just have a concern, one, around the transparency of who gets elected, and two, like what that community input looks like versus just that group of 9 people.
Okay, no problem. I could get your information. For the last 2 minutes, I definitely want to for next steps, the Chicago Housing Trust, the 2023 Trolley Tour will be held April 22nd from 9:30 to 2 p.m. Definitely going to Chicago Housing Trust website for more information on that. So I would definitely be following up with all of you via email on additional information that was actually shared tonight as well. So thank you all.
I would request one last thing, and this kind of goes back to how you opened the meeting with an update on the Woodlawn housing ordinance. So the Renew Woodlawn program, did you say that there's been no activity in that area at all? Did I get that right?
Yes, for Renew Woodlawn. Currently, we're looking to see within Q2 and Q3. It's just the rising cost of things. And right now, the acquisition opportunity doesn't currently exist in the current market. So we're definitely looking to see how we can meet and discuss that and see what tweaks that we need to be made when it comes to Renew Woodlawn.
Okay, and the point of contact is that's still POA, correct? Are they over that program, or is it NHS?
It's NHS.
NHS.
Yeah.
All right.
Aaron can speak to that. I believe it is NHS, right?
Yeah, it's POA subgranted
Yeah.
to
Right.
so it's both of them.
All right. And one comment, and then I'll be quiet because I'm sure other people have questions they want to ask. So the long-term homeowner improvement grant, for the record, the demand was off the chain. The Woodlawn portion of that was awarded $1 million, which funded at $20,000 per person per household. That would fund about 47, 48 homes. You got over 200 applications, but the city did not refund that for a subsequent year. There's clearly a demand in Woodlawn for programs like that to help homeowners who've been in their homes a long time. I think everyone on this call is interested in making sure that displacement is minimized or doesn't happen in Woodlawn. And we clearly need to have programs like that where we have seniors who need help, just staying in their home. And we came across some pretty sad situations as we went through that process with NHS of homeowners who just need some help. So I'm saying this to you so you all could take that back. I know that there's a citywide program, correct? But we need to see what we can do to set aside some money for Woodlawn specifically. Ms. Tara, maybe the alderman could help in this conversation with housing as well to help out some of these families. And I'd love to sit with you and kind of share some stories of some of the Woodlawn residents that we came across during this process.
Yeah, of course. I think even though most of the conversation I have on the calls are regarding rentals, and affordable housing, as a group, we always talk about our relationship with the homeowners in the neighborhood. The need, I was just discussing and talking with Savannah earlier today, the need to see those affordable single family homes built. And just like you just spoke, that was part of the agreement that we had come to early on in these conversations, was that that money was going to be set up to assist the affordable housing home buyers. We all knew it wasn't enough and it was only going to be for 1 year. So I'm happy that you did bring that back up to maybe a lot of us. We need to review what was committed to and where we are at today, because we are in this together as one Woodlawn, the homeowners and the renters. So we need to pay just as much attention as how they moving along with the plans that they discussed with getting this done with you guys.
That's right.
So
That's
we,
right.
yeah,
Everybody can benefit from this. Rising
yeah,
tide lifts all boats.
yes. So we'll have to set up something that just a community meeting, and we can have a discussion and, you know, follow up.
All right, great. Look forward to it.
Okay.
All right, thank you all for your time. Definitely will be following up with you definitely shortly. So thank you. Thank you all. All right, good night all.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.